From a flicker of candlelight in 1789 to the glare of modern screens in the West Wing, every president has held the pen. Executive orders not passed by Congress, but etched into law by command. Some shaped history. Some sparked controversy. Others were forgotten. Until now. This is where we break them down. Every signature, every shift in power, every consequence still felt today. From Washington to Biden, welcome to Executive Order Watch.
Democracy, we live for it. For democracy, we fight for it. For democracy, we've died for it. And for democracy, we watch it. This is Executive Order Watch.
Good evening, my fellow Americans. As we reflect upon the passage of another year, it is fitting that we look closely at the road we've traveled. The year 1963 has been one of great testing and of great turning points for our country, for our people, and for the world. From the steps of the Lincoln Memorial to the halls of Congress, from distant rice fields in Vietnam to the space above our heads, we have borne witness to a world in motion. In the spring, protests and resistance in Birmingham, Alabama, called our nation once again to confront its oldest contradiction, the promise of freedom and the practice of inequality. What we saw on television screens and in the bruises on children's bodies was not just a regional struggle, it was a national reckoning. And as president, I could not, would not, remain neutral in the face of such injustice. So we took action, not just with words, but with federal force when necessary. We made clear that the rights guaranteed by the Constitution are not mere aspirations, but enforceable law. And while the road to justice is long, it must always begin with truth. In June, I stood before the American people and declared that civil rights is a moral issue, as old as the scriptures and as clear as the American Constitution. That moment was not scripted by politics. It was shaped by conscience. Leadership, I have always believed, means choosing principle over popularity. Abroad, the world faced new uncertainties and delicate diplomacy. In Europe, we continued to deepen our alliance with our friends in the West. In Latin America, we advanced the Alliance for Progress, helping lift nations through education, economic assistance, and shared development. In Vietnam, the conflict intensified. We were faced with hard decisions, many of which still echo beyond the moment. But even amid turbulence, there were signs of hope. On June 26th, in the shadow of the Berlin Wall, I spoke the words "Ich bin ein Berliner" to affirm that freedom is indivisible. An attack on one is an attack on all. That message was not simply for Berlin, it was for every free people who wonders if America still stands with them. We do, and in the summer we signed the Limited Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, a moment of sanity in a world too often intoxicated by arms. For the first time, the United States, the United Kingdom, and the Soviet Union agreed to draw a line, however faint, between strength and survival. I have tried to govern not as a man beholden to the extremes, but as a servant of the people's greater good. That has meant difficult conversations with Congress, with our allies, and at times with the American people themselves. But I have never believed that the office of the presidency was meant to follow the crowd. It is meant to lead it. Throughout this year, I've asked not what your country can do for you, but what we can do together for the preservation of liberty, for the expansion of justice, and for the fulfillment of human dignity. And while tonight we speak broadly of the year's journey, we will soon take a closer look at the actions I signed as president, executive orders crafted not for headlines, but for the machinery of justice, of preparedness, of reform. We'll turn to those shortly. But first, I want to thank each American, North and South, young and old, for walking with me through this chapter. Through division and unity, through confrontation and progress, we have stayed the course. And though the work is far from done, I believe, deep in my heart, that the United States is moving unmistakably in the direction of its highest ideals. Thank you, and may God bless this land we all cherish. Executive Order 11,073, providing for federal salary administration on January 2, 1963. Executive Order 11,074, establishing the President's Council on Physical Fitness on January 8, 1963. Executive Order 11,075, administration of the Trade Expansion Act of 1962 on January 15, 1963. Executive Order 11,076, establishing the President's Advisory Commission on Narcotic and Drug Abuse on January 15, 1963. Executive Order 11,077, administration of the Migration and Refugee Assistance Act of 1962 on January 22, 1963. Executive Order 11,078, creating a board of inquiry to report on a labor dispute affecting the ballistics missile, space vehicle, and military aircraft industry on January 23, 1963. Executive Order 11,079, providing for the prescribing of regulations under which members of the armed forces and others may accept fellowships, scholarships, or grants on January 25, 1963. Executive Order 11,080, inspection of income, excess profits, estate, and gift tax returns by the Senate Committee on Foreign Relations on January 29, 1963. Executive Order 11,081, amending the Manual for Courts-Martial, United States, 1951, to implement Section 815 of Title 10, United States Code, relating to non-judicial punishment on January 29, 1963. Executive Order 11,082, inspection of income, excess profits, estate, and gift tax returns by the Senate Committee on Government Operations on February 4, 1963. Executive Order 11,083, inspection of income, excess profits, estate, and gift tax returns by the Committee on Government Operations, House of Representatives on February 6, 1963. Executive Order 10,184, amending Executive Order Number 10,995, relating to telecommunications on February 15, 1963. Executive Order 11,085, the Presidential Medal of Freedom on February 22, 1963. Executive Order 10,186, amendment of Executive Order Number 10,587, relating to the administration of Section 32H of the Trading with the Enemy Act on February 26, 1963. Executive Order 11,087, assigning emergency preparedness functions to the Secretary of State on February 26, 1963. Executive Order 11,088, assigning emergency preparedness functions to the Secretary of the Treasury on February 26, 1963. Executive Order 11,089, assigning emergency preparedness functions to the Atomic Energy Commission on February 26, 1963. Executive Order 11,090, assigning emergency preparedness functions to the Civil Aeronautics Board on February 26, 1963. Executive Order 11,091, assigning emergency preparedness functions to the Civil Service Commission on February 26, 1963. Executive Order 11,092, assigning emergency preparedness functions to the Federal Communications Commission on February 26, 1963. Executive Order 11,093, assigning emergency preparedness functions to the Administrator of General Services on February 26, 1963. Executive Order 11,094, assigning emergency preparedness functions to various federal financial agencies on February 26, 1963. Executive Order 11,095, assigning emergency preparedness functions to various independent agencies on February 26, 1963. Executive Order 11,096, establishing a seal for the United States Civil Service Commission on February 28, 1963. Executive Order 11,097, amendment of Executive Order Number 10,501 as amended, relating to authority for the original classification of defense information and material on February 28, 1963. Executive Order 11,098, amending the Selective Service Regulations on March 14, 1963. Executive Order 11,099, inspection of income, estate, and gift tax returns by the House Committee on Public Works on March 14, 1963. Executive Order 11,100, establishing the President's Commission on Registration and Voting Participation on March 30, 1963. Executive Order 11,101, creating an emergency board to investigate disputes between the carriers represented by the Eastern, Western, and Southwestern Carriers Conference Committees and certain of their employees on April 3, 1963. Executive Order 11,102, inspection of returns by possessions of the United States on April 4, 1963. Executive Order 11,103, providing for the appointment of former Peace Corps volunteers to the civilian career services on April 10, 1963. Executive Order 11,104, USS Thresher on April 12, 1963. Executive Order 11,105, transferring to the Housing and Home Finance Administrator certain functions of the Atomic Energy Commission under the Atomic Energy Community Act of 1955 on April 18, 1963. Executive Order 11,106, providing for the administration of the Trade Agreements Program and related matters on April 18, 1963. Executive Order 11,107, administration of Alaska Railroads on April 25, 1963. Executive Order 11,108, delegating authority under the International Wheat Agreement Act of 1949 as amended to the Secretary of Agriculture on May 22, 1963. Executive Order 11,109, inspection of income, excess profits, estate, and gift tax returns by the Committee on Un-American Activities, House of Representatives on May 27, 1963. Executive Order 11,110, amendment of Executive Order Number 10,289 as amended relating to the performance of certain functions affecting the Department of the Treasury on June 4, 1963. Executive Order 11111, providing assistance for the removal of obstructions of justice and suppression of unlawful combinations within the state of Alabama on June 11, 1963. Executive Order 11,112, establishing the President's Advisory Council on the Arts on June 12, 1963. Executive Order 11,113, amendment of Executive Order Number 11,075 as amended, relating to the administration of the Trade Agreements Program on June 13, 1963. Executive Order 11,114, extending the authority of the President's Committee on Equal Employment Opportunity on June 22, 1963. Executive Order 11,115, creating an emergency board to investigate disputes between the Pullman Company, the Chicago, Rock Island and Pacific Railroad Company, the New York Central System, and the Soo Line Railroad Company, and certain of their employees on July 4, 1963. Executive Order 11,116, prescribing rates of charges for certain hospitalization and dispensary services and delegating authority to prescribe such rates on August 5, 1963. Executive Order 11,117, establishing an interagency committee on international athletics on August 13, 1963. Executive Order 11,118, providing assistance for removal of unlawful obstructions of justice in the state of Alabama on September 10, 1963. Executive Order 11,119, amending the Selective Service Regulations on September 10, 1963. Executive Order 11,120, amendment of Executive Orders relating to hazardous duty, sea duty, and quarters allowances on October 2, 1963. Executive Order 11,121, creating an emergency board to investigate a dispute between the United Airlines, Inc. and certain of its employees on October 9, 1963. Executive Order 11,122, establishing the Rural Development Committee on October 16, 1963. Executive Order 11,123, amendment of Executive Order Number 10,853, relating to various allowances to certain government personnel on foreign duty on October 18, 1963. Executive Order 11,124, enlarging the membership of the President's Advisory Council on the Arts on October 28, 1963. Executive Order 11,125, delegating authority of the President under Sections 205 and 208 of Title 18 of the United States Code, relating to conflicts of interest on October 29, 1963. Executive Order 11,126, establishing a committee and a council relating to the status of women on November 1, 1963. Executive Order 11,127, creating an emergency board to investigate a dispute between the Florida East Coast Railway Company and certain of its employees on November 9, 1963. It was a bright Friday morning in Texas. The sky was clear, just the way I liked it. Blue as the Atlantic, not a cloud in sight. We'd landed in Fort Worth the night before. Jackie and I were met with cheers, handshakes, and hopeful faces. Even the newspapers seemed friendly. That morning, I gave a short speech outside the hotel. The crowd braved the chill just to hear a few words. I remember saying something about the United States standing firm, strong, and resolute. I believed it. Then we flew to Dallas. They told me not to come here, said it was risky, said the political climate was tense, but I didn't want to shy away from the American people. That wasn't my way. I believed if you want to lead a nation, you face it, straight on. We landed at Love Field just before noon. Jackie wore her pink suit, the one everyone remembers, the one with the little pillbox hat. I loved her in that. She hated politics, but smiled for the cameras like it was her calling. We got into the open-top limousine. The motorcade rolled slowly into the city. Crowds lined the sidewalks, waving flags and shouting my name. Kennedy, Jack, Mr. President. I smiled. I waved. I remember feeling proud, connected. We turned onto Main Street, then Houston. The people leaned in. I could see the whites of their eyes, babies in arms, boys in ROTC uniforms. It felt like America. And then Dealey Plaza. We made that left turn onto Elm Street. I looked to my right. There was the Texas School Book Depository. I barely noticed it. And then, pop. I heard it like a firecracker. A sharp crack. I looked ahead. Something was wrong. Then, crack. A pain hit my back, not like a sting, more like a punch through my shoulder. I opened my mouth, and then it happened. Bang.
A force struck my head, violent, blinding, final. I remember Jackie beside me. I remember the weight of her fear, her hand reaching, my body collapsing. I couldn't speak, I couldn't see, I couldn't move, but I felt everything, the screams, the sirens, the rush of Secret Service agents, and Jackie still reaching for me. Even as the car sped toward Parkland Hospital, even as my blood soaked that pink suit, even as the world began to understand what had just happened. They tried to save me, but it was done. 12:30 p.m., November 22nd, 1963, Dallas, Texas. I was gone before they knew.
Pauline's Pizza, where we deliver happiness one slice at a time. What's your craving today?
Yeah, hi. Is Seymour there?
Oh, Seymour. I think he might be busy making our special pies. But hey, why not swing by the pizzeria? We've got a pie with your name on it. Anything else I can help you with?
I was looking for Seymour Butts.
Ah, I see. Well, if you're looking for Seymour Butts, he might be hiding behind a pepperoni slice. Anything else I can do for you today?
No, that's it.
Terrence, a marketing professional with a passion for helping your business grow smarter and faster. Here at Da Bomb Digital Media, based right here in Atlanta, Georgia, we specialize in bringing your vision to life. Whether you're launching your first website or reimagining your entire digital presence, we've got you covered. From modern website design and search engine optimization to setting up your own AI-powered agency tools, we deliver innovative solutions that keep you ahead of the curve. Ready to unlock your business's full potential? Let's build something remarkable together. For more information, visit our YouTube channel. Just search Da Bomb Digital Media on YouTube and start exploring tips, success stories, and everything you need to elevate your brand.
I was gone before they knew. My fellow Americans, tonight I want to take you back to a pivotal year in American and global history, 1962. A year that tested our resolve, sharpened our leadership, and produced decisions that echo all the way into the world we live in today. President John F. Kennedy, young, determined, and visionary, faced a world brimming with pressure and possibility. He issued 73 executive orders that year, not for political theater, not for personal legacy, but to direct a government at full throttle in the middle of a Cold War, a civil rights awakening, and a space race that would define the century. These orders weren't just signed, they were strategically aimed tools tools to protect, to prepare, to progress. Let's talk about the effect those executive orders had in 1962 and why they still matter now. Some brought immediate clarity to crisis. Others laid the infrastructure we now take for granted: civil preparedness, diplomatic protections, equal housing opportunity, and the preservation of natural lands. And today, they still shape the way we govern, the way we handle emergency powers, the way we protect civil liberties, the way we manage global diplomacy and interagency coordination. Now let's walk through the top 10 executive orders of 1962, each one a keystone of JFK's presidency. Number 1, Executive Order 10,063, Equal Opportunity in Housing. Kennedy took bold federal action to end discrimination in housing financed with public funds. This EO lit the path toward the Fair Housing Act of 1968. Today, it remains a foundation of our civil rights legacy. Number 2, Executive Order 11,030, Reforming the Executive Order Process. Kennedy brought order to executive orders themselves. This standardized how they were written, reviewed, and published, helping ensure transparency and legality in the most powerful tool a president can wield. Number 3, Executive Order 11,051, Emergency Planning Framework. This document mapped out the responsibilities of federal agencies during national emergencies. The modern playbooks for FEMA and Homeland Security draw directly from this executive design. Number 4, Executive Orders 11,000 to 11,005, Emergency Preparedness Functions. This suite of orders assigned roles to federal departments for continuity of government. In the nuclear age, these directives were vital. In the age of pandemics and cyber warfare, they're still essential. Number 5, Executive Order 11,041, Continuance of the Peace Corps. What began as a dream became a durable global program. This order ensured the Peace Corps would remain an American ambassador of service and goodwill across borders. Number 6, Executive Order 11,046, authorizing the Bronze Star Medal, a reaffirmation of honor for those who served in combat zones with distinction. This EO clarified eligibility and expanded access to this important military recognition. Number 7, Executive Order 11,059, Diplomatic Privileges for International Organizations. This order gave global institutions like the UN proper protections to operate on American soil. In a Cold War world, and even now, these legal shields make diplomacy possible. Number 8, Executive Order 11,017, Recreation Advisory Council. A conservation-minded directive that advanced outdoor recreation and public land planning. The push for accessible green spaces began here and continues through our climate and infrastructure policies today. Number 9, Executive Order 11,014, U.S. participation in the New York World's Fair. More than symbolism, this order coordinated a cultural and diplomatic presence on the global stage. In a time when ideas were weapons, the fair became a battlefield of imagination and progress. Number 10, Executive Order 11,061, honoring Eleanor Roosevelt. In the wake of her passing, JFK formally recognized the towering legacy of a woman who redefined public service and international human rights. That respect echoes in every effort we make for equality and dignity today. Now let's look beyond the paperwork. What else happened in 1962? Globally, we stood on the knife's edge of annihilation. The Cuban Missile Crisis, October 1962, was the closest we've ever come to nuclear war. A 13-day standoff between the United States and the Soviet Union. JFK's cool, strategic patience, combined with military readiness and back-channel diplomacy, pulled us back from the brink. That crisis taught the world that strength and restraint can coexist. That same year, the United States and Soviet Union signed the Limited Test Ban Treaty, and though it would not be finalized until '63, the groundwork was laid in those tense moments of '62. Domestically, the civil rights movement swelled. James Meredith became the first black student to enroll at the University of Mississippi, escorted by federal marshals under Kennedy's orders. Violence erupted, but the principle stood firm. No American should be denied opportunity by the color of their skin. In the skies, John Glenn orbited the Earth, a feat that declared our arrival in the space age. We weren't just fighting a Cold War, we were racing toward the stars. And in culture, America was stirring. Folk music questioned the old guard. Hollywood wrestled with conscience. The youth weren't just watching, they were waking up. So what does 1962 teach us today?
It teaches us that executive action must be timely, but also timeless. That leadership means doing what is hard because it is right. That America is at its best not when it's loud, but when it's clear. John F. Kennedy governed that year not by instinct alone, but with intelligence, vision, and courage. His executive orders weren't about consolidating power. They were about mobilizing purpose. And here, in 2025, we are still standing on the shoulders of that legacy. Let us remember that leadership is not found in comfort, but in clarity, in crisis, in conviction. Thank you, and may we carry forward that same spirit, not just in memory, but in motion. Ladies and gentlemen, truth seekers, freedom defenders, students of history. Tonight we remember not just a president, but a moment. A man who stood tall not because he was perfect, but because he stood forward when others might have frozen still. John Fitzgerald Kennedy. His time in office, short as it was a tour. A tour of intellect, of elegance, of action. He walked into a world on fire and refused to fan the flames. Instead, he offered vision, discipline, and light. He was tested by the Cold War, by the Cuban Missile Crisis, by rising tensions in Vietnam, by the growing cry for civil rights in the streets of Alabama and Mississippi. And how did he respond? With courage under pressure, with calm when the world shook, with movement when the moral needle demanded more than words. It demanded action. When his time was cut short in Dallas, the nation didn't just lose a leader. It lost momentum, direction, a glimpse of what could have been. But let's be clear. His transition wasn't the end. It was a torch passed. And like he said, it wasn't to be passed to the faint-hearted or the weak. It was passed to us. So let's talk about what we can learn from JFK. Number 1. Leadership requires restraint. He could have gone to war in 1962. He could have turned fear into fire. But he didn't. He chose diplomacy. He chose life. In a time when bombs were loaded, he chose to listen. Number 2. Words must meet action. He gave America some of the most beautiful speeches in presidential history. But he didn't stop at inspiration. He integrated Ole Miss. He formed the Peace Corps. He used executive orders to tear at the roots of segregation and silence. Number 3. Progress means pushing forward, even when it costs you. JFK didn't play it safe. He knew civil rights would anger the South. He knew peace would frustrate the generals. But he didn't govern for applause. He governed for progress, and for that, he deserves our respect, all of it. He moved the needle forward, not backward. He set a tone for American leadership that demanded intellect, poise, compassion, and courage. He didn't finish his race, but he ran far enough to change the course. So when we speak of him, let's not just whisper, "What if?" Let's shout, "What was?" Let's honor what he gave, and let's keep pushing, like he did, toward that more perfect union. Because the dream ain't done. Not yet. When you hear the name John F. Kennedy, you don't just think of a man. You think of a moment, a feeling. A crisp voice through a black and white TV saying, "Ask not what your country can do for you." You think of a nation standing on the edge of war, of change, of awakening. Let's take it back. Let's walk through the storm he walked through, with his head high and his soul locked in. The major events? Oh, there were plenty. In 1961, he took that oath with the world watching and the Cold War burning. That same year, he faced the Bay of Pigs invasion, a failed CIA mission in Cuba. He took the hit publicly, didn't pass the blame. That's leadership. In 1962 came the Cuban Missile Crisis, 13 days where the world held its breath. Soviet missiles, 90 miles from Florida. JFK didn't blink. He stared down Khrushchev and chose peace without weakness. That decision, it saved the world. And let's not forget the rise of the civil rights movement. He saw the fire in Birmingham. He watched young men and women jailed for peace. He didn't just speak. He moved the federal machine toward justice. He federalized the National Guard to enforce desegregation. That's bold. Then came space. Oh yes, the final frontier. He looked up and said, "We choose to go to the moon." And though he never lived to see that moon landing, his words built the launch pad. Who did he meet with? He sat across from giants. Nikita Khrushchev in Vienna, two minds locked in nuclear chess. Martin Luther King Jr., in spirit, in action, though not always in step. He opened the White House to artists, poets, astronauts, kings, and freedom fighters. He was the first president to host a Nobel Prize dinner for American laureates. Said it was the most extraordinary collection of talent ever gathered at the White House. Except when Thomas Jefferson dined alone. Smooth, presidential, pure JFK movies. Oh, he's a cinematic legend. Oliver Stone's JFK took a sharp lens to his assassination. Kevin Costner chasing ghosts in the shadows of Dallas. Then there's 13 Days. Bruce Greenwood as Kennedy in the war room, navigating the nuclear standoff minute by minute. A man who knew that restraint is power. And let's not forget the dozens of documentaries, series, and specials. Because the world still can't stop watching the man who made history move. Historic facts? Let me bless you with a few. He was the youngest elected president, just 43 years old. He was the first and only Catholic president until Joe Biden. He won a Pulitzer Prize for his book Profiles in Courage, before even running for president. He suffered from chronic illness, wore a back brace daily, and still never let the world see the weight he carried. Charisma, yes, but beneath that smile, steel, strategy, sacrifice, and when that day came, November 22nd, 1963, when he was taken from us too soon in Dallas, the country was stunned, the world wept, and power didn't freeze. It moved. Right there on Air Force One, Lyndon B. Johnson, his vice president, took the oath. A Texan, different voice, different vision, but he carried the torch. And to his credit, he passed the Civil Rights Act of 1964, picking up where Kennedy left off. So, what can we say about JFK? He didn't live long, but he lived loud. He led young. He fought smart. He didn't flinch in the face of war. He didn't stall when justice knocked. He didn't retreat when the future called. And for that, he deserves our respect. Not just a page in a textbook, but a legacy in our laws, a pulse in our principles, and a reminder that sometimes history is made not by how long you reign, but by how far you move the needle forward, and when the unthinkable happened. When that motorcade in Dallas fell silent, Vice President Lyndon Baines Johnson took the oath aboard Air Force One, his hand on a Bible, his heart carrying the weight of a nation in mourning. He stepped into the storm not with fanfare, but with the burden of carrying a dream that belonged to someone else, a dream that didn't end with a bullet, but kept marching forward. So as we close this chapter on President John F. Kennedy, we don't say goodbye to his legacy. We say, carry it, honor it, live it, and always remember, for democracy we live, for democracy we die, for democracy we rise. Until next time, my friends, stay curious, stay bold, and never stop seeking the truth. This is E. Million Williams, signing off. Some write history with blood, some with laws, but the sharpest stroke comes from the pen. Executive power ain't just a tool, it's a weapon wielded by the few, affecting the many. They sign it, we live it. They order it, we obey it. Here, watching, digging, remembering, from the plantation to the proclamation, from internment camps to civil rights stands, from surveillance laws to student loan draws. Reporter can change your life, and you might not even know it, but now you do. So stay locked in, stay woke, stay sharp. We ain't just talking about power, we tracking it. Executive Order Watch, and we ain't blinking.